All right, we did tell you we're talking about reading and books and stuff and cowboys and things. So with that, right here on the Pepper Stewart Show, you got Karen Rock's author of multiple cowboy western rodeo book stories, but they're stories. And right here we've got Karen. Karen, how you doing today?
Hi, great Pepper. How are you?
We are doing good. We're just sitting down here in Dallas, enjoying the weather and talking about stuff. And uh, we told we teased that we were going to talk about books and stories. So I don't know nothing about that. So we thought we'd bring in an expert that knows about books and
Well,
stories.
I used to be an English teacher, so that'll work out perfect.
There you go. There you go. So Karen Rocks, author of some good. You've got some good books out there. You got the
Thank
Rocky
you.
Mountain Cowboy series going. You want and some other stuff. You want to tell us about some of those?
Yeah, so a while back, actually, Pepper, when you and I first met, I wrote a book called His Kind of Cowgirl. And in that book, I had a one rodeo scene. I had a bull rider, and I didn't know how to write that scene well enough. So I was working with a bull riding agent, a wonderful lady, and she put me in touch with you. She said, let me just forward this scene on to a friend I have and let him look at it. And she contacted me. She said, well, he looked at it, and his feedback was, this gal's not from the West, is she? Which really cracked me up, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna like this Pepper. So, but he's willing to work with you on the scene, and you did, and we even chatted on the phone, and we had a great conversation, and it just really inspired me to think, I've always loved the West. I've loved watching movies, reading books. I mean, from like a very young age, I read this series, and I don't know if you've heard of it, but I used to go to like the dollar bookstore, like, and buy these books. They're called Westward Bound, where like they followed like people that would settle states out west, and I just fell in love with it. Each one was a different state: Oklahoma, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and I always thought, oh gosh, if I could ever write books set out in the West, that would be a dream come true. So I do kind of feel like I'm living my dream writing this series for sure.
It
So after I wrote that book, you gave me the courage to say, okay, you know what? You can do this, girl. So I went on and I wrote the next book, moved up. It was the sister of the heroine in that book, and moved up to Colorado because the original book was in Texas, that first one. Moved up to Colorado, and I had her sister was a stable manager at a dude ranch, and I had this really dark kind of cowboy character. He's a bounty hunter, and he's all scarred up from like a bar fight where he tried to defend his brother, and the people that he got in the fight with, they ended up taking his brother and killing him, and he's on this whole like vengeance thing trying to get these guys. And but I got really caught up in his backstory, and I kept thinking about like my husband has 7 brothers, and the Cage family, which is one of the 2 families in this series, they also have a lot of brothers. And I just kept thinking, boy, I'd really like to write a series with a lot of family drama, like a real saga, where, you have a family that has, gone through things I think a lot of people are going through. In their case, they lost one of the brothers. He, unfortunately, through a sports injury, got addicted to opiates. And because of that, he ended up, getting involved with the wrong people and got murdered. So from the story with the bounty hunter, that's what the Rocky Mountain Cowboy series came out of. Was I wanted to go back and look at a family and how do they deal with a loss that is really hard to explain. And each person in the family has dealt with it differently. And each story kind of follows the love story of each of the brothers and just about the family coming together and healing over this.
Now when you're writing a series like this, do you plan a series, or do you just start with a book and you just kind of go from the first book and build on that book, or when you go to write a book, do you think, well, I'm going to do a series of this, or does it just happen?
I am definitely a planner. That's the teacher in me, I guess, maybe. But one thing I started with is I always start with people rather than the story itself. So I just really looked at this family, and I thought, who are these people? Who are the Cades? And I thought, okay, Jack Cade, that was the bounty hunter. He's like the enforcer in the family. He's like the oldest brother. And then you've got the second one who stayed home, and he's like the authoritarian. He's like, very protective of the family. He's not going to let any more outsiders come in and threaten the peace of his family or his ranch, and that's James Cade. You have Jared Cade, and I was thinking, he should be the guy that's kind of like, quote-unquote, the good-looking Cade, although they're all gorgeous, but he's like too good-looking for his own good kind of thing. And everything's always come easily to him, but he ends up coming against a situation where things don't come easily, and he's got a lot of growing to do on that. And then Justin Cade is twin brother of Jesse Cade, who died. And, I just thought, he's a really dark character. He really feels deep down that he should have been the one that died, not his brother, because he thinks that Jesse was the better of the two of them. And then I have Jewel Cade, who's their sister, and she can outride, outshoot, outrope her brothers, and she's always had to keep up with them, and they never cut her any slack. She wouldn't want to. And so then once I have those characters down, then I start thinking about what each story is going to be. And then on top of that, Pepper, I also have the Loveland family, and that's their neighbors, and they've been feuding with them for over 120 years. So every one of those, and they're all brothers and one sister again, huge family, and every one of those cowboys and one cowgirl all have their own personalities too. And so overarching for the whole series, you've got two things going on. You've got these two families that have been feuding for over 100 years over there's like a kidnapping, there was a murder, there was a priceless jewel theft because there was a 50-carat sapphire that was mined from the Yugo Gulch that, was like part of the family's dowry for the girl that got kidnapped and murdered. And they blame the other family. The other family blames the Cades because they strung up the Loveland that they blamed for it and did some vigilante justice right there on spot. So that feud's been going on, and then it's just been escalating because of all these water rights issues that's been going on because the Cades have access to the Crystal River. The Lovelands used to have access that they had been granted to go through the Cade land in order to get to the Crystal River, but then the Cades sued to stop that, claiming all kinds of things that they were, cattle were interbreeding because one raises Brahmins, one's Longhorns, and they were causing damage. So it makes it really hard for the Lovelands because they got to drive their cattle way far to get to any water.
Right.
So it makes it difficult for them. So you've got that feud going on over the whole series. And then on top of that, Boyd, who's the widower and head of the Loveland clan, and Joy, who's the widow and head of the Cade clan, they actually used to date way back in the day, and now they're kind of reconnecting, but their adult kids don't want those two to ever get together. That would be, there's no way in heck the Cades and the Lovelands are ever going to be united in a wedding like that. That's not happening.
Oh, man. Well, while you were explaining those, we pulled up the website and showing the folks the website, and we're looking at your website here, and we see someone else on the site. I don't know if it's a guest author or what, but you've got a pup here. What's the story on this pup?
Zoe. Oh my gosh, I love that little dog. She's so darn cute. So Zoe is a mixed breed. She's like part poodle, which makes her you pet her and she never sheds. I love that. And I actually had a dog I was very attached to, and I had her for 13 years. She was a diabetic. She went blind, and she was deaf.
Oh.
And but I kept her going for a long time, and my husband knew that she was pretty much on her way out, and he just went up and said, "We're going to Pennsylvania. I've got a dog. I already bought her." I was like, "What? What are you talking about? I don't want another dog."
Right.
But ended up being the best thing because we did lose my other dog, Lizzie, not too long after that, and it's always been a real comfort. And whenever I write, she sits right by me the whole time. So she's like my little writing buddy.
And speaking of the writing and the writing in the books, what was it that inspired you to write books? What was it that you just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna write a book?
You know, that's a good question. I think it's something that for a lot of people, not for all writers, but for many, it's not even like you feel like you think, oh, I'm going to write a book. It's more like it's something that you just want to do. And for any profession, you know, when it's something you don't enjoy, it's work. But when it's something you do enjoy, this is just joy. So
All right.
for me, like I've been writing my whole life. Even when I was a little kid, I used to fill up journals, and every year I'd get a new journal, and I'd fill it up with anything. I'd write stories, poems, anything and everything. But I never really had the confidence to try to send anything out until my sister-in-law, who is also a romance author, who would read things that I would write. She said, Karen, come on, you really got to just get some courage here, girl, and send some things out. Because of her, I ended up sending things out and then just really took off from there.
Huh. Well, it's working out. It's doing good and working out. You got, quite a few books out there for everybody. We've got your website up, KarenRock.com, and showing everybody about that deal. Well, we won't hold you up any longer, Karen.
Okay.
We do appreciate you visiting with us, and we look forward to the next book and checking it out, seeing what you got, and then maybe catch back up with you later on the next one.
Sounds great. Yeah, I've got Falling for a Cowboy is out right now. So that's a story about a legally blind barrel racer that has a comeback and ends up going back into competition with a really great plan. And that one I think will appeal to anybody that's ever had any kind of physical challenge. And it's just really all about just never giving up and going for your dreams no matter what your limitations are. And it's a great love story. So I hope everybody will check that one out. And then after that, I've got a story called Bad Boy Rancher.
Uh-oh.
That comes out in April. So, yeah, please do check me out on my website. I've got lots of news up there for everybody. And I also have a club called the Rocky Mountain Cowboys Book Club. And we are right now it's a small group, 300 strong, but really dedicated to, Western romances. So check that out on Facebook, too.
All right, we'll do that.
All right. Thank you so much, Pepper. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.